There's a passage in Iyengar's writing, and he talks about memory. He says that for most people, memory is the recollection of past thoughts and experience. We remember things. He goes on then to talk about, he says, but in a practice, or for the yogi, memory is the basis. We draw on memory each time we practice, but we use memory to encounter new experience. So the word memory, the word is smriti. At one level, what you do when you practice is you remember the names of poses, you remember the details. When I often talk about it, I say this is not a practice of perfection. Because if you're trying to improve and refine to achieve something, then it's a practice which aims for perfection and will fail. Because you'll never meet your expectation. But Iyengar talks about the way we draw on memory to go into the unknown, into the future. And when I try to think about ways to communicate this, I used to, before we moved from the school, I used to say, I ride the same path each day. I go this few kilometers, ride between home and the school. And I do it maybe 4 times. Two trips, forward and back. I do the same thing each day, but I can tell you when someone has dropped a piece of paper, a cigarette butt, because it wasn't there this morning. I can tell you what's changing because I do it so regularly. And what is consistent is known. And then when new things arrive into the space, I can spot them. A flower, someone drops something, a piece of paper, a coin. I notice the difference because I notice what is the same. And it's a method that is used. It said how to move from the known to the unknown is you use what is known as a stepping stone. When we practice, we go again and again, and it looks like it's the practice of perfecting or refining. There is also an element of judgment every time you practice. When we're doing those Uttita Hastas today, or Urdhva Prasarita Ekapadasana, I walk you through a set of instructions. And at some point you start to say, that's not possible, or that is possible. And so the exercise of judgment is also at play. What's being called into question is your judgment reliable? Is it consistent with the reality? My mind says no, but then I find, I can do that. If I keep saying no, I can't do the thing because my mind is already predetermined. So there are questions about how aligned or wed to your thoughts you are. And at this point, it moves into a discussion about identity. If your identity is fixed, it is hard to change. If you fix yourself and fix your identity, it gives you certainty, but change becomes threatening. When we work into unknown or unfamiliar asanas, there is challenge. Challenge about your own capacity, challenge about your judgment, challenge about memory. But ultimately, it's all framed in this question of identity. If your identity is fixed, if you have decided what is and isn't possible, yoga a yoga practice is impossible. And I know that's a sort of, that's a strong statement for me to make. But it's made in other areas. Young children are told we throw balls. We talk about hand-eye coordination as life skills. People talk about sports as building character. And those things are saying that the activity itself is one thing, but what is required for the activity is where the skills are. Yoga ultimately, I do say things like it's life skills. I also sometimes say it's an advanced driving course. You can get about in your car, but most of us drive badly. But ultimately, it's actually a question about identity. If you read the literature in yoga, it talks about identity, a sense of who we are, a sense of how we are in the world, our ability to adapt and adjust. When you're standing on one leg and holding the other one up, I understand that it's a coordination, that it requires mobilities. But for me, it's a question about, can you put down what you know to work into spaces, to find out what you can do?